And there's no problem. It's not a problem.
I spent all this time trying, can't stop laughing.
You spent all this time trying to fix yourself so you could wake up. But it's not the one who needs fixing that wakes up. Your true nature, your essence, being that wakes up to itself. And that's what's happening, honey. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's when I would sit down to meditate, there would be this huge battle in my psyche of trying to stop the experience. And now there's the understanding that I don't need to do like that doesn't need to be stopped or changed.
Yeah. So thoughts and your experience, your visceral experience, your felt experience doesn't need to be stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I used to, there would be this my mind, so what would happen is I'd start having a tremendous amount of thoughts and there'd be a lot of tension in my head. And then
Mm,
I'd start to and I'd go into this process of trying to like drop into the breath and
yeah,
like
I remember that.
resist the urge and whatever. And that would be meditation and it would just be like a tussle. And now I'm like, oh wow, there's like a lot of tension and thinking right now. And then that's it, you know. And then sometimes the thought will arise like, oh no, stop that. Da, 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 da. But it's like there's something here that just doesn't care what's happening. There's something here that just is
Something
like,
here
oh, well, that's
here what's happening.
meditation today. Like, gee, this is uncomfortable. This wasn't what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But okay.
But this is what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something in you that doesn't have a problem with problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not going to go away. You're noticing it might at times,
Mm,
doesn't go anywhere.
mm.
So when you worry about it going away, right? This there's the mind trying to come up with another job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worried. I'm not worried about it going away as much as I'm worried about it being eclipsed by something else, which is unpleasant.
Yeah. Yeah. Which gives one the sense that it's gone away.
Mm,
Even in those moments, if you can remember, like, well, it hasn't gone anywhere.
yeah.
And that then relaxes everything. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just mind.
Mm.
Mind is doing mind things.
So like a habit, like the mind, like there's this habit
Yeah.
of feeling like it's going to overwhelm me, like I can't handle it. And so the mind will be looking, like there'll be a belief that that's going to happen, like I'm going to be overwhelmed. I just have these experiences and I'm like, oh, well, all that's going to happen is you're going to have this experience, this uncomfortable experience. Maybe this is going to happen, but that's all that's going to happen.
And we cannot like the uncomfortable experience too. And then there's room for
Mm,
that.
mm,
There can be resistance to the uncomfortable experience. Oh, resistance is here.
yeah, yeah,
But that which is aware of resistance and not liking the experience is fundamental, is always here,
yeah.
not anywhere.
But I think that's the other thing that working with you has really helped me with is that then there's a naturally arising compassion for that now.
Good. Yeah.
Gonna cry.
You can cry. Crying's okay. Yeah. Yeah, that compassion. Well, if we're identified with the mind the part of our mind that really wants to fix things and thinks and wants to fix ourselves. There's a problem with me. There's something to change. There's something to fix. Then we think that that's ourself.
Yeah.
So it's hard to feel compassion for this part of ourselves that's causing us pain, but it's compassion for your own being, and your being doesn't deserve that type of treatment.
Mm.
You wouldn't stand for it in a relationship with somebody. Somebody talk to you like that, like, God, you're a problem, you gotta like get your together. To have somebody in your life that's always telling you that, like every 10 minutes, or
Mm.
anytime you have an uncomfortable experience and they're like, geez, what's wrong with you? You know,
Mm.
that wouldn't be good. Ultimately there's no there's not a self that's solid, that you are the self, right? But there is a being here. There is an organism here that
Mm.
feels, perceives, and you know, is tender and loving, and is vulnerable, and also strong and wise. And when awakening is stabilized enough, or you've had enough glimpses, you're like, well, what's here is this awareness, and the mind is just mind, but it's still uncomfortable. And it's like softening and inviting mind as if it's a little child in, like,
Yeah.
okay, mind mechanism, come here, it's okay.
Mm.
You're this neural pathway firing constantly because something happened to you as
Mm.
a whole being at some point in your life where that mechanism was helpful.
Mm.
And so we can have a lot of compassion for our whole being, that we were so smart to come up with that mechanism at that time, but
Mm.
it's not needed anymore.
Yeah.
And just relaxing with things as they are, and relaxing with the mind and its barrage, doing its thing, and seeing that it's just an experience, and softening around it, seeing that it's just mind content, it's just habitual nature, and softening with that, and not trying to like do anything with it or fix it or figure it out, is an act of compassion.
Mm.
That in and of itself is compassionate. So all this softening you've been doing, in allowing your experience to be what it is, allowing yourself to be however you are, dropping this story that there's a problem with you and that you're something to
Mm.
be fixed, is an act of that is compassion.
Mm. That's what it feels like. It's just a spontaneously arising thing that happens. It's
Yeah.
not like s- intentionally
I'm going to
not
be
well.
compassionate now, like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. It's not like there's an intentional thing of like, now I'm going to be compassionate and do this
Right.
thing. It feels like the shape, or the, like, to use a weird word, the geometry changed, and now the response is this, whereas the response used to be this.
Yeah.
Now it's like there's this sort of just softening, which I would describe as compassion, because it realizes that there's nothing wrong with what's happening. There's no problem here. This is just, to use like an analogy, the way that the water is winding down the river. At
There's
the
nothing
moment, the
wrong with you.
water's,
There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with you, right?
yeah,
Well, I know I keep saying it, but I think it's because you have had a deep enough seeing that it's not who you are.
yeah.
That contracted mind, that
Mm.
habitual mind,
Mm.
it's not who you are. So it is painful when the mind is doing that and you believe that you're that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was for me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's painful. So what it seems like is there's you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah.
Yeah.
Something shifted.
Yeah.